An active weather pattern is setting up across the United States here. Starting with today in the Great Lakes region, we have lake effect snow in Michigan, as well as parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania and New York as well. That lake effect snow will continue through the day today. Go ahead and run this through the time frame here. This is a model for short term called HRRR. We see lake effect snow up there in the UP all day today. Western lower Michigan will taper off today, but we'll kick back up on Friday. And also lake effect banding over here in portions of Northeast Ohio, West Pennsylvania, and Western New York. Also, keep in mind a clipper system develops out here in Iowa, moves through Illinois into Indiana and into Ohio as well. That could bring some late accumulations for places like Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, a couple inches of snow there for you guys. Heaviest accumulation out of all of this, though, will be in the UP of Michigan, where over 2 feet of snow may fall by the time we get into Saturday morning. Looking at snowfall accumulation here, this is through 48 hours in advance. We're seeing the heaviest snow, as just mentioned, UP of Michigan here, but also notice the western part of Michigan getting in on some snow accumulation, as well as Northeast Ohio, West Pennsylvania, and Western New York. Also over here towards the central New York area, we have another area of high snow accumulations there. And we see a clipper system here from Iowa moving into Indiana here. That is your clipper accumulation through central Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. So overall, very snowy next 48 hours for us here in the Great Lakes region. But we have a major winter system incoming here for your Sunday. Starting with the European model here, we're going to see a low pressure system develop out here in Oklahoma. Go ahead and take this full screen. Let's go ahead and dive right back in. So the area to watch for development is right in here, Colorado, Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle area. This is the European model. Kind of run this into Saturday night. And right about here, we're seeing that system develop here. We see that red L, that is your low pressure system for you guys out there in the Oklahoma area. It will likely begin to strengthen as we move into Saturday night, Sunday morning. Becomes a major system here with snow on the north side, freezing rain in the middle, and then rain on the south side. What's going to do is going to bring a large area of snowfall from the plains into the Midwest region here. Exact track is still a little bit uncertain. We'll go over that here in a second, but I will say heavy snow likely for the Midwest, as well as significant icing for a very small corridor here along the Ohio River Valley. Then in the south here, on the south side of the system, we have a severe threat for your Sunday. Looking at the SPC, we have the 15% slight risk area for places like Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and eastern central Texas. Main threat with that should be damaging winds. Can't rule out a tornado just yet, but I will say if you guys have deep south friends there in Louisiana, Mississippi, perhaps even Tennessee, Arkansas, and Texas, get them aware that we do have a day 4 now, Sunday risk associated with this low pressure system out of the plains. Let's go ahead and take a zoomed in look here at our model going back into the Ohio River Valley. Let's find our zoomed in look here. Let's go ahead and roll with Ohio Valley. There we go. Let's go ahead and pop this back open. And let's go ahead and track this hour by hour. This is Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. We're seeing central Missouri, central Kansas in a ice storm here in pink. And then heavy snow develops here on the north side of this, places like Iowa and Illinois. This is going to track up our direction into Sunday afternoon and evening. And this is where the uncertainty begins. The low pressure is centered down here over Missouri and Tennessee, Kentucky area, tri-state area down here. Any shifts north or south will deviate the precip north or south with it. If we see a north shift, this snow could very well go up in the Chicago area, all the way up into the 94 corridor here in Michigan, and also places like Toledo and Cleveland. We're going to have to watch that very closely. Right now, the European, we trust the European a lot with winter systems. It says the heaviest snow will be across central Illinois, central Indiana, and south central Ohio. It also says that places like southern Illinois, southern Indiana, and perhaps very far southern Ohio get into the ice storm on this system. So we'll have to keep an eye on this. Exact shifting and tracks are still not yet known, but any major shifts are unlikely. So it's not going to shift all the way up here to Wisconsin and northern Michigan. It's not going to shift south down here into Kentucky. This is a pretty good track here overall in terms of impacts for the Great Lakes region, but the exact track is going to come down to the models here and how it's going to shift around. and develop. And that is largely due to these high pressures over here. We're seeing the blue H's. That high pressure is forcing cold air further south for this, but also forcing the system further south as well. A weaker high pressure will steer this system further north here. Keep an eye on that very closely here. The competing models here, the GFS, or also known as the American and also the Canadian, do show the system a little tad bit further north here this morning. This is the latest GFS American model, does show snow all the way up in the Chicago areas, 94 corridor for Michigan, Cleveland, Toledo areas. You guys sneak into that snow, but the heaviest still remains across central Indiana and central Ohio. And it does also bring that freezing rain risk further north here toward Indianapolis, perhaps sleet there in the orange areas for you guys. In terms of the Canadian model, much of the same in agreement with the GFS. We're seeing a very northward shift on the models here. But I will say this, I'm going to put my face back on the screen here. I will say the European model overall is the best looking winter model when it comes to these types of systems. That's why we're leaning more toward the European solution, but we also cannot ignore the northward trend here. So if you live in far northern Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and perhaps even South Michigan, still be on alert. You could get some accumulation of snow with the system. But I do think the heaviest swath is going to be somewhere across central or northern central parts of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. In terms of accumulation, we're not going to talk about that just yet, but I will say the heaviest swath looking to be around 8 to 12 inches or so. And as far as that icing goes further south, wherever that sets up, we'll likely get between probably 2/10 and 3/10 inches of ice, which is enough to take out power and topple some tree limbs. So be aware of that, especially if you live in southern Illinois, Indiana, and extreme south Ohio. You could be in for a ice storm event there for your Sunday evening into Monday morning. So do keep that in mind. Again, I want to stress this. The exact track of this system is not going to be known. Overall, major shifts north or south are unlikely, but even minor deviance, 20, 30 miles north or south, will either shift that precip shield north or south as well. It could be a difference between people getting 2 or 3 inches of snow or people getting nothing at all. With that being said, we are looking at the extended period of cold and snow. It will slow down here after the system into the middle part of January, but we will be cold. Likely wind chills here around the January 7th to 12th timeframe, likely in single digits for a good chunk of the Midwest. Past that, we're not seeing anything too major in terms of systems, but the active pattern will continue into late January as well. We're definitely not done with winter after this system. With that being said, that'll do it for today's video. If you guys got questions, feel free to drop them in chat. We'll keep you guys updated and perhaps do a live stream tomorrow evening as we finalize our forecast for tomorrow. With that being said, you guys stay safe, stay prepared. We'll catch you guys later here at GLSCN. Thanks for watching.